Sí.
Hola, mi nombre es Catalina Jaramillo, soy docente de los grados 10º y 11 de la institución educativa lusitania Paz de Colombia, localizada en el barrio La Aurora, en la ciudad de Medellín. Hoy quiero hablarles de la Asociación Colombiana de Profesores de Inglés, ASOCOPI, que congrega a todos los maestros de inglés de nuestro país. ASOCOPI fue fundada en 1965, es decir, lleva más de 50 años apoyando a los maestros. Mi nombre es Catalina Jaramillo, soy docente de los grados 10º y 11 de la institución educativa lusitania Paz de Colombia, localizada en el barrio La Aurora, en la ciudad de Medellín. Hoy quiero hablarles de la Asociación Colombiana de Profesores de Inglés, ASOCOPI, que congrega a todos los maestros de inglés de nuestro país. ASOCOPI fue fundada
And sitting here in the wonder room, I it just another rainy Sunday.
All right, good afternoon to you all. You don't need to turn on your mics to say hello to me. There is no problem. It is really good for us to be all together again. Today, we're going to have another webinar, part of these webinars that we have been conducting. Today is webinar number 7. And for that, we are going to be with Professor Juan Carlos Torres. I'm really proud of having him today for us to share his experiences in regards not only to how to teach English, but to do something beyond the language itself. It's good to see you all here connected again. I see some regulars already, some commoners already. It is really good to find this community growing bigger and keeping stronger as usual. Well, first of all, once again, thank you for being with us. Please stay and keep on this attitude of being safe at home. And before we start up our presentation, same typical recommendations, the most popular words these days, please turn off your camera and turn off your microphones. We don't want to see or to hear anything that could be disturbing for the rest of the audience. And as usual, if you may have any questions, do not hesitate, type them on the chat, and then we are going to have some time for the answers of those possible questions. So please make sure that you are taking profit of this information that Juan Carlos is going to share with us. And I'm just going to allow myself to talk a little bit. I don't have Juan Carlos' bio data right here with me, but I'm just going to talk about what I know of his work. He is a teacher trainer. He's got his master's from Universidad de la Sabana, and he's got plenty of experience not only as a teacher of English, but also as a teacher educator. Um, his experience has been on the use of technology and also on CLIL. He has some publications about CLIL, and then he's going to combine technology and CLIL in today's speech. So Juan Carlos, you are more than welcome. Please, the floor is all yours if you want to share your screen with us, and we are in your hands now.
Hey everyone, it's a pleasure to have you here in this webinar. So, well, if you're here, it's because you want to know something new about methodology, about the approaches that are nowadays. So, is there a perfect approach? Well, definitely there is not a perfect approach, but there is something that is very important nowadays. It's how to use the tools that we have combined with a very good approach to engage our students' attention. And for that reason, is that we need to think about what is important for our students. And well, there is not just one answer. Definitely there are different ways in which we can catch our students' attention. So even with this, a simple rubber ball, you can get your students' attention. So teacher, what are you going to do to make your classes more engaging? What is something that you're going to do to get your students' attention? Let's see.
Okay, everyone, welcome. So first of all, My name is Juan Carlos Torres. It's a pleasure to have you here. So, well, I'm going to start showing you my presentation. And, well, here I am. Maker spaces, design thinking to create content development while developing projects. So it's kind of complicated. It's kind of many things are together nowadays. So, well, we have been experiencing like a new reality. We have been experiencing something that uh, empower us. But honestly, were we prepared for that? Were we like ready for what it's happening right now? Definitely not. So the idea is that we start creating new classes based on today's necessities. So for that reason, as a teacher, I would like to really know a little bit about your knowledge and these maker spaces. So for that reason, I want you to use your cell phones or your computers. And please go to menti.com, and it's going to ask you for a code. The code is going to be 871812. Please go to menti.com 871812. That is going to be our first activity. When you go there, you are going to see the same question that I'm showing you. What words come to your mind when you see a makerspace? So only words, no sentences, not anything different. So just 3 words that come to your mind. Makerspace. So you say like, for example, oh, create, tools, technology. Well, I don't know. 3 words. Eighty, 87, 18, 12. Go there, go there. So these are your responses in real time. This is what you are writing. As you can see, what this software allows you to do is to gather the information, and probably you have discovered the usage of this software is that the most common words are going to be the biggest ones. However, all your participations are there. So far, we have creativity as like the biggest one, imagination, technology, design, class preparation, entertainment, interaction, hands-on, innovation. Okay, good. Music, good. Doing, variety, cooperation, good. Okay, so far, creativity is gonna be like the biggest one. Okay, cool. 20 people have participated so far. Great. Okay. So that is what we are doing today. So because you have mentioned creativity, imagination, technology, something different, communicate, this is what is going to happen today. Today we are going to talk about makerspace. And you say, okay, yeah, that's what you said the webinar was about. But more important about like makerspace is definitely what is behind that makerspace. So probably you have heard about this thing, STEAM. And of course, we are English teachers, but we are focused on what is really new. But on the other hand, what we have been doing in our classes without knowing that we are doing it. As Jair mentioned, I have been working doing some research, doing some professional development with CLIL. And some of the results about CLIL is that sometimes teachers do CLIL in the classroom, but they have no idea that they are doing CLIL. And some other teachers claim to use CLIL because they are doing some activities with CLIL. So that's the thing. Today we're going to talk about more than activities, projects. And you might be thinking, okay, so what's the difference between activities and projects? I hope that with the pass of the webinar, we can discover that difference. And if not, at the end of the webinar, we can go there. So definitely there is a connection between makerspaces and STEAM. So what's STEAM? For people who don't know, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. The most complicated one, well, there is not a complicated one. The idea is that you integrate them all in order to produce something new. So before we start like seeing how to deal with this, well, it's definitely really important to check something that is happening nowadays. And what is happening nowadays? Well, things have changed. In 2015, these were according to the World Economic Forum. In 2015, on your right, you can see that you have like the top 10 skills that were needed by that time, which is not very far from today's. It's 2015. And you can see, like, for example, you have complex solving problems and some skills. Cool. We're going to focus on these ones: critical thinking and creativity. In 2015, they were part of the project of these skills, but they were like in number 4 and in number 10. Okay. They were there and they were kind of part of the reality. However, they were not really important. On the other hand, in 2020, we can see that now complex solving problem is number 1, critical thinking is number 2, and creativity is number 3. However, emotional intelligence, which was not important in 2015, it's nowadays in number 6. So you say like, okay, so why is emotional intelligence part of like nowadays skills? Everything is connected. I started this webinar by doing an activity and using the word engagement. And that is the most important thing. Have you experienced these days that even that your class is totally perfect, totally planned, that you have a very good outline, but the activity itself, having this thing about connection, engagement, attention, is not working as the way that you plan? I hope that you have been there, because this is what is happening to all of us. We plan one class, but when we are going to make that class happen, there are 1 million things that we didn't take into consideration because it's a new reality. Yeah, it's a new reality that was there, but was hidden because I need to now work on things that before I didn't have in mind. I was like thinking, okay, so this is working, this is going like very, very good. But on the other hand, well, I need to think about like what to do with this new skills that I need to develop in my class, because it's no longer the classroom. It's nowadays my class in which new skills need to be developed, but they were there. So the big question is how to develop these skills that in the past were somehow important, but nowadays they are super basic. Well, let me tell you, everything changes, everything evolves. And if we don't evolve with the processes, we start to become obsolete. So that's why we have these 3 characters. I hope that you have seen Toy Story. Otherwise, you will be kind of lost. But let's start. We have Andy. So if you're a teacher, probably you saw like Toy Story 1. Andy was the protagonist. Then we have seen that Andy starts growing up. So he becomes a teenager. Finally, like the final Toy Story movie, we have Bonnie. And you remember Forky. So you're going to say, okay, what this has to do with the webinar and everything? Because we are going to think about the evolution and the education, and how education starts evolving with the pass of time. So probably you had this. Do you remember this? It's definitely a Walkman. So do you remember how to rewind a cassette? Yeah, with a pen, so you can save batteries. That was our problem, to save batteries, because we were using a Walkman. Kid Andy was us in the past, but we have been growing up. So at some point, we started using the Discman. The problem was that the Discman was consuming a lot of batteries. So what happened? Well, they invented those rechargeable batteries that you could use over and over and over. So they started with a solution. So what comes to your mind when I am going to talk about Bonnie? What is going to happen with Bonnie? Probably you had this figured out yet. Well, she's not going to use the Walkman. She's not going to use the Discman. She's going to use Spotify or any other music app. Why? Because she's not going to carry many things, but she's going to be thinking about storage and how to have all her music with her because it's more comfortable and because it's easier. So in the past, we were Kid Andy, and we were using a traditional approach. Did you have to teach with a board? Maybe with a blackboard, which was green, and chalk? Why chalk? If we were very, very happy and very lucky, we had colored chalk. Then we had the other board and everything, and with a CD player. Oh no, with a tape recorder and then a CD player. That was the English teacher. That was the English teachers in the past. So nowadays, well, we are in front of a computer with a computer, an iPad, using your best friends, Google Meet, Zoom, Classroom. Teacher, I can hear you. Teacher, what's the password? Teacher, teacher, teacher. We have 1 minute before this Zoom meeting stops. So, and the Zoom meeting is over and you didn't finish the topic. This is us nowadays. So we are kind of living in Bonnie's times, but we were raised in Kid Andy's times. So we are evolving, but we know how things work in the past and how things are working nowadays. So this is one example, of course, with music. But because we are using Steam, I have to use another topic and another example. So goodbye this paper. I have the 3 same characters, but now it's gonna be with different tools. Most of us are very good at English, but some of us are not very good at math. Some of us. So remember that Kid Andy in the past used this. What's the pronunciation of this? Not very common, right? It's an abacus. Yeah, I had to Google it because I had no idea. It's an abacus. And it was a traditional approach. Yeah, you can say that you can do many things with the abacus. But then our best friend in the classroom during high school appeared, Mr. Baldor. And this is why I'm an English teacher, because Baldor appeared, and as you could see, we had the traditional approach, and then we have a content consumer. Do you remember this book, the Baldor algebra? That was like, okay, you're going to develop these exercises, and these exercises. So yeah, it's a nightmare, Caro, I know. So because we were experiencing this, nowadays a friend of us appeared. So Julio Profe is there teaching us using YouTube, in which you can rewind the class, in which you can Zoom, you can write a comment, and teacher replies. So what's the moral of this story? Nowadays, we need to teach and we need to use Bonnie's time because that's what we are living nowadays. Julio Profe is the most famous teacher. It's because he's very good. It's because he has evolved. And that's the moral of this story. And this is the moral of this example. Not because we want to be Kid Andy, or some of us are teenager Andy. It's because we need to become Bonnie. We need to start thinking that even though that we know how to use the abacus, we learn by using the Baldor's algebra. But nowadays, our society is asking us to be Julio Profe. And definitely, everything is about evolution. And because everybody is talking about this, well, definitely it's time to bring this topic. When you are talking about being a maker, you talk about the 21st century skills. Yeah, you can say, oh, but there are more. And I say, yeah, there are more. However, I am going to focus on these four. Why? Because for me are the ones that play a very crucial role in this topic. Critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. I don't know if you have asked these questions to your students, but when I go to school, I always ask, hey, what do you want to study when you finish the school? What do you want to be when you are an adult? I am expecting them to answer an English teacher, just like you. But on the other hand, they don't reply that. And it becomes like kind of sad because they want to be YouTubers, community managers, influencers, and so on and so forth. Why? Because that's what they consume, because that's what they see, because that's what it's going around of their world. Last webinar, Katie was talking about tools and how to use like different apps and websites. But we have discovered something. That thinking about like, oh, our teenagers, our kids, they were born in this era, so they know how to use everything that is digital. And we have discovered something really interesting. They know how to use social apps. They know how to use different things. But on the other hand, do they know how to use an Excel? Do they know how to combine different things in a slide? Do they work together? Is there any cooperative work? And definitely the answer is no. They know how to play a video on YouTube. They know how to reply on Twitter. Yeah. But when they have to work together, well, are they using these tools for learning, for collaborating? Well, definitely they are just focused on one thing. Every time that I finish a video, I am going to say, hey, subscribe, like, and share. That's their life. That's their reality. That's what they consume. That's what they see. That's what they hear every single day. However, on the other hand, I think, okay, so why are YouTubers so famous? And they are famous, influencers and Instagrammers and all of these professions. It's because they have a good creativity, because they engage people with a simple video, with a simple activity, with a simple game. They engage something, and they make you come for more, because definitely they want to see more content, because they want to see more and more and more of what you are producing. So they are creative, and I cannot deny that. With some YouTubers and some influencers, yeah, they don't see I don't see something meaningful happening. However, they have a very high degree of engagement with their audience. So what some YouTubers, some influencers, and some people do is like their critical thinking is so high that they know where to attack people in a good way, attack. So they come for more. Doing reviews of movies, making jokes, makeup tutorials, how to cook, how to bow your tie, or something like that. It's creative, yeah. It's real life, definitely it's real life. But they are being creative. They are using critical thinking. They are using collaboration. Sometimes people think, especially students, that YouTubers, influencers, all those professions, they work alone. And sometimes they work alone, but behind the scenes, there is a production, there is edition, there is like this group of people with brainstorming ideas and everything to create more content. It's not just me alone. So every time that I talk to students, I say, if you want to become one of these guys, it's really good, but think that you don't know everything. Not even me, the teacher, knows everything. Sometimes I receive questions like, teacher, how do you say a word? And I don't know. And they say, teacher, but you know everything. I say, no, I am a teacher, not a dictionary. There are many words in English that I don't know. There is a million words in Spanish that I have no idea what they mean. So imagine in English. So that's the thing. I need more people. I need people to work with me because we all are learning together. And that's the important part, that they don't forget that we live in a society where we can learn together. Because with these professions, they are going to be working like alone because they think that is easy. And try to no, not try. You have experienced this. Try to talk in front of a camera with a presentation, and sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's like, okay, what button did I press? And you close the presentation, you move the camera. So you need people. You need people to collaborate with you, and that happens. And the most important, communication. And this is really related to makerspaces and design thinking. That is what we are going to study today. No YouTuber, no influencer creates the content for their own. They create the content and they tell the world what they are doing because that's the way in which they monetize. And also, it's the way in which they become famous. But the most important thing, it is the way in which their content is known all around the world. They want to be famous. We want all to be famous, rich and famous. But the first thing is that people need to hear from me. They need to know what I'm doing. And that's the most important part. So that's why the 21st century skills play a very important role in makerspaces. But there are very important concepts that you need to think when creating these makerspaces. So I'm going to break the screen because makers have these 2, 4, 6 important concepts. I'm going to just go over them like very quickly. It's make, learn, participate, share, and give and play. You have heard with the 21st century skills these concepts together with examples of YouTubers. We must make, create, and express ourselves to feel whole because we are creating things. We are planning and we are doing things. But also, we are learning. All the time, we are learning. We are participating. For example, you are here participating in something. So, however, I know some things, I want to learn more, so I need to participate. Very important. Share. You cannot make and not share. If you are doing something, tell the world what you are doing. Even if it's not perfect, I'm very good that it's not perfect. Because when you receive feedback, you can improve things. Because when something goes wrong, you can learn for that thing that is going wrong. Give. Pass your product to someone else. And the most important, if for me, I consider that when you play, when you're having fun, when you are engaged, definitely you are learning because we learn through experiences. And there are 3 concepts that in my presentation I am going to leave outside, even though they are part of being a maker, because they don't belong to us. Change, support, and to lab. They come from our school or the institution in which we are working, because I can say, hey, to lab. If you check the manuals or the books for the tools that you need to have a makerspace, they ask for a chainsaw. They ask for an electrical hammer. They ask for a 3D printer. I cannot ask you as a teacher to buy those things in your house because it's something that you are not going to use every day, because it's going to be a lot of money, and because there is no like a project-based curriculum that you have with your students to use those things every day. So these 3, even though they are part of the project of being a maker, they come from the institution in which you are working. So if they support your projects, they give you the money or they invest. Once that they have invested, because they have a maker space, because they have the tools and everything, well, you can create things. So that's why these 3 concepts are outside this presentation, because I am counting on you as the first step. We are doing baby steps. and this process. So important these three, but they don't depend on us like 100%. And again, the magic number 6 is because we are going to learn by doing and doing to transform. If you are here listening about maker spaces, it's because you want to do things in a different way. It's because we are Bonnie. It's because we want to use Spotify. It's because we want to use the combination of virtual reality and virtual things like Julio Profe is doing in this context. So as I mentioned before, it's no longer about doing it yourself, but doing it together. If we don't work in groups, we are not creating maker spaces. We are doing activities like Baldor. Listen to this explanation and then go and develop these 10 exercises. And some of us learned in that way, and it's fine. Remember, remember the way in which we learned the irregular verbs? Try to think. Was there a video on YouTube? There was no video on YouTube. It was the list of verbs. Begin, began, begun. Become, became, become. Eat, ate, eaten. Fly, flew, flown. And what was the exam? The exam was the teacher will erase one of the verbs and you needed to complete. That was it. No more. So when we work together, we can learn together because someone is creating something that is going to help me understand and learn everything in a different way. So can we become good mathematicians? Maybe with Julio Profe. Why not? Could we teach math in English now that we know English? Yeah, if we check Julio's Profe's videos, maybe, could be. There is something that is very common that is the DIY, the do-it-yourself. Has it happened to you that sometimes you fix something even if you have no idea how to fix it? And sometimes you break it, but you try to fix it because when you fix it, you receive a reward, and it's the satisfaction of having learned how to fix things just by trying to do it. So I am going to nail this to see, I'm going to use glue, I'm going to create this. I have a good friend of mine, my best friend. He's very good at making costumes for Halloween, and it's by doing, but he's using technology and many different things to create those awesome costumes. Because even though that he's very good, he needs someone else to create blueprints and everything. So it's like a combination of many things. So it's do it yourself because you're trying it, but you are using someone else's concepts. There's this is something that I really like. Is like, hey, what are you making? What are you creating? And the satisfaction of, I did this. When you have the product, even if it's not perfect, I created. And that's the most important part. When you mention like creativity, technology, innovation, design, all of them are together to create something, to make something. So when you mention that you did this, it's because you are in the good way. You are in the right path. It's because you are doing something and you have learned something about that you created. So that's why we need to use the project-based learning, the PBL, because it's the best way to learn. When you create something, you are not developing activities. You are learning something while you create the project. So by the end of the project, even though that the project or the product is not perfect, the learning process is perfect because you started learning from zero, and then by the end of the project, you have learned something. Even though that the product is not perfect, the process is. So very important for you. I really like this. Hot is a pretty abstract concept until you have burned yourself. I cannot explain you the concept of hot until you touch it or until you feel it, until you experience it. So this is learning by experiencing. And this is excellent for us because what we are doing is that we are doing a research, but we are putting into practice concepts nowadays. Because with that model in which some of us, our students are going to go to the schools, some others are going to stay at home, or maybe there are going to be like 4, 5, 6 months in which we are going to use this tool to teach, well, we need we need different approaches. We need different projects. Otherwise, even if my class is perfect, students are going to feel bored. Sometimes I feel bored in class and I'm the teacher. So imagine my students. It's because talking to a computer, it's not easy at all. And remember, our students are not only learning English. They are learning English, Spanish, French, algebra, physics, and everything. So we need to transform our classes. Otherwise, the students are going to burn out. And the result is that they are studying 6, 7 hours a day. But how much are they learning? That's the big question. And this is a question that I found in the book. I'm going to show you the book afterwards. How do you design a table? Look around. Probably you have a table at home. But have you ever wondered who designed that table? How was the process? What kind of joints can be used to join the legs to the table? What is the best material to make a table? You don't think about it because the product is there. The product is ready. And the product is for you to use it. But you had never wondered how to create that. What if the person that makes tables in the world disappear? Okay, now it's your turn to make a table. How would you start? With a question, right? So summarizing this first part, it's no longer about doing it yourself, but about doing it together. Learning through the maker is being willing to take risks. So even that you make mistakes, you experiment, you investigate, you imagine, and you are not hard on your own. Well, I did this, it was not very good, but well, I tried. So it's important to value these attempts because the more attempts you do, well, actually, the more you learn. So everything becomes, and everything starts with a question. Remember about the table? Like, hey, how can I create a table? I'm going to ask you this question. How did you learn how to ride a bicycle? Did your father give you instructions? What did your parents tell you to do? Sometimes I receive these instructions. Okay, you go up and you have balance, and then you start moving the pedals, and then you speed up. With those instructions, I could do many things. But the first thing that I am going to discover is that equilibrium, balance, and gravity are three concepts that are together because I fall. So the concept of hot, when you have burned, is the same concept of how to ride a bicycle. Have balance, experiment equilibrium. What is that? Try to explain it with your words. And you can do it. But by the end, you're saying, like, try the bicycle, and then you're going to experience it. And that's how you learn how to ride a bicycle. Did you fall? Of course. You've fallen like a couple of times or more times, 10 times. But by the end of the day, you learn how to ride a bicycle. Instructions were not enough. It was a process of experiencing. So when you start having questions like, what do my students need? What I start like wondering the process. So everything starts with driving questions because they are the purpose of learning. Learning simultaneously because you are curious about something. How does this work? How can I improve it? Because even if something is created, it doesn't mean that it's perfect. Have you seen an iPhone? If iPhone was perfect, tomorrow iPhone or Apple would close because that's it. I mean, this is the last iPhone. Can you imagine the telephone that we are going to receive in 10 or 15 years? We have no idea, but we are sure that there's going to be a means of communication. I don't know if you have a phone or a chip or something, but things continue evolving. And these driving questions are the base of everything because everything is a project. So that's why you're a project manager, because you create something, because you improve something, okay? So everything is summarized with this. You want to discover, so you focus on something. You imagine. Remember, it could be the solution for a problem, or it could be the improvement of a product. Yeah? You prototype, you try, And that's and at this moment, is the most important part, because you start experiencing things and the first time is not perfect. So you go back, you prototype again, you try it again, you prototype it, you try it, you prototype it, you try it. And at the end, you reflect about the process, but it's really important to share. So we as teachers, sometimes we create very good things, but we never share them. So that's why parents think that being a teacher is very easy because it's like, no, you go there, you sit down there in front of your kids for 7 hours and they are there. Look at them, angels. They don't move. They don't chat. They are there, still statues. Wrong. Everything needs to be shared so they know what the process of everything is behind. And that's how you discover. And then you start the process again. So you say, okay, but does this work in real life? Well, let me show you an example. Do you know how to cook rice? Some of you know. But I am going to give you the international measure for cooking rice. Is 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of water. Oil. And put that in a pot and light it up, and then you have rice. That's what I have seen my mother doing. Then I had to try it with those instructions, with those measures. How was the result? Well, definitely the result is not something similar to what I am showing you. The first time, the rice that I cooked was terrible. It was burned out. It was black. So I say, oh, I need to improve. So the second time, it was the opposite. It was a tamale, a white tamale. So it's like, oh no, so maybe it's about water, maybe it's about heat, maybe it's about, and you start wondering, you reflect, you discover, and at some point, you know how to cook rice. Are you using science? Definitely, you are using science, but also you are using technology. Do you see? That's the way in which STEAM and Maker are together, because when we experience, we are learning, but we are not aware of that. So what is the moral of this story? That when we are teachers, we need to think about simple, very simple examples, very simple projects in which we can live with our students the process that I lived with that when I learned, but now I need to think about the objective. So that's why it's really important to have a clear objective, because that's what you are teaching. Know how to cook rice is the process behind of cooking rice. So it's like, so teacher, making a panela, you have chemistry there. Why? Have you ever heard about boiling point? About the height in Bogota is different from the height in the coast, and the temperature? You never think about it because we are not aware of that. But we can teach physics, chemistry through boiling agua en agua panela. But I need to know how to plan that. Okay, so this was an example, but this is the process. Again, I am summarizing. You explore, you observe, you check, you build, you attempt. You want to be famous. You want to change things. But also in the middle, you are prototyping, you are designing, you are building. You are searching for new ideas, for advices. You are searching for your imagination to work, but not only your imagination, but many people. Test, try it, you evaluate the process. I'm going to go back to the rice. You cook your rice, you try it, and you say like, oh man, I forgot the salt. You discover something, but you try, and then you learn. And this is what we are doing with our students. They are cooking rice, but we are focusing on the product, the rice, but we are not checking what is behind that process, right? So the idea is that you need to adapt the content to your own needs and possibilities, because I know that not all of us work in the same conditions. Not all of us have like the same tools, the same materials. So it's really important to start like creating things. So I designed a simple project with the students in the National University that are part of the immersion program. So what I did is that I changed the problem. This is for solving problems. But now I say like, okay, because I don't have a curriculum, because this was not a regular course, but just an immersion, I had little time. So that's why Juan Carlos, I changed the objective, and I say, I'm going to give you these materials: straws, masking tape, rope, and a coffee cup. You are going to create a project that satisfies a need. Okay. What did I do there? I gave them a situation. I gave them a problem. You need to create something that helps your life to become easier. I provided them with the materials, even opportunities. All my groups, because they are working in groups, of course, they had the same materials. It's not that for one group, you're going to have more masking tape. You are going to have 2 cups and you're going to have 1. No, they have even opportunities because the idea is that they have the same materials. Give them a specific time for the steps. Remember that we are reflecting, prototyping, sharing, and everything. If we don't measure time, they take the whole class or the whole project prototyping because we are makers, we want to create. But if we are creating only the product for the sake of creating the product, it becomes an activity. And I lose my objective and I lose my north because now it's like, I want to play with the tools, but that's not important part. That is one part of the whole process because I want to reflect, I want to imagine, I want them to create, I want them to prototype, to evaluate, and go back and prototype again. But if they don't do the whole thing, they continue just playing with the materials, and it becomes an activity. So they are not learning something; they are just playing with the materials. Important, share. So I told them that they were going to present the project. So how? Well, up to you. But you need to present the project because I am an English teacher, I need them to communicate and I need them to evaluate or to follow up their process of learning, of communication, of intonation, everything that is there, everything that is behind. So as a teacher, I know what I am grading during the project. And definitely let them have fun. While and when. There is nothing like more rewarding to see them using English to communicate, to create something, even that their English level is not very good, but they try because they are engaged, but they are creating and they are discovering and they are prototyping. So you see, everything is together. That's design thinking. That's making. And STEAM is there because this could be technology. Yeah, change the materials. I am providing you with this because I am not going to show you or to show off a project using a 3D printer because you would say like, ah, oh, that's beautiful, but I have no the resources and the school is not going to provide me with a 3D printer. Is when, for example, they say, in Philippines, in Indonesia, in France, they are doing, and we are like, yeah, I know, they do because they have. Yes and no, we can also create, we can also make with the conditions that we have. Is a limited? Yeah. On the other hand, it's definitely up to you. And that's going to be afterwards that I'm going to show you something. So, okay, we'll buy this paper. They are creating something. I had no idea what, because if I show them something, they tend to repeat or they are biased. Has it happened to you that you ask one student, what's your favorite food? And that student says hamburger. After that student answers something, the rest of the students can repeat hamburger, pizza, or hot dog because it's the most common one or because they are following a model. And it's good at some point to follow a model. On the other hand, with this maker, I don't want to show them something because I want them to create something. Afterwards, they can go to the prototype and reflect and they can improve their products, but it's their own product, which is more satisfying. So they were doing this. I had no idea what, but afterwards, it was the time to present. So they created like, it was like a fan, it was like a robot that helped you doing your homework. It was like the first picture, it was like a recycling plant, so they could use water. So these students were not studying like English for being teachers, but these were engineers, doctors. It's like those strange mixtures. So they work together from different majors to share their knowledge. So it was very good to see them like creating things because it was crazy. Because the engineers thinking a way, but for example, psychologists thinking another way. And the artist, because we had people that study arts, thinking a very different way. So put them together was even funny because I don't know to say that they argue, but they were like defending their points of view. They were trying to say, no, but this is my idea, this is my idea. But at the end of the day, they create something and they are able to share because it's their product and they have fun. So if you see them, most of them, for not saying all of them, they are smiling, they are laughing because they have learned things, but because of the experience of sharing it, they are going to remember this activity. If I run into these guys and I say, hey, remember the activities with the cops, they are going to remember, and they are going to remember their products and the interactions and even the other students' names because they are learning all together. So that is something that was very important for me because, well, I put many things into practice. And because I am a CLIL specialist and I love this thing, well, I discovered that there is a connection between CLIL, maker, design thinking, PBL. So everything is connected because CLIL, and I am like taking Garner and Lambert concept, motivation is an important part of learning. So remember how I started my video? With a simple rubber ball. If you are engaged or motivated with something, you can learn. But the teacher is the magician, is the one that takes this rubber ball and make that something or a tool for learning. But also COIL also claimed that CLIL improves learning quality, at the same time provides students with more opportunities to put language into practice while boosting learning motivation in students and teachers. There you are. That is how I see CLIL inside maker spaces, because I see that it's like the bridge between concepts. So that's why I came up with this idea. We have STEAM, we have CLIL, we have design thinking, and we have maker spaces. If you put all of them together with a very good engagement activity, the product is not going to be the most important. The product is going to be the excuse for them to make something. So it's really, really, really important to make them do things. They were doing that. That is, I think that maybe you have seen this before. That is the spaghetti or the pasta tower. So I provided them with pasta and some masking tape, and it's like, okay, you need to create your own pasta tower, and on top, you need the evaluation is you need to hold a marshmallow. If it holds the marshmallow, you pass. You are, and some of them are creating things based on their knowledge, but they needed to construct two things, and it's like stability, highness, and different things. So the height is important, but maybe one of them say like, okay, but we need a good base, and they share concepts. They learn by doing, but they were using structures and things that I made them for them to practice. So it was a very good activity. So as you can see, again, I am not using technology because there are many projects with technology, many projects, but I am starting with the simple things. Then if you have technology in your school, well, imagine. Nowadays, I am working with robotics, as Jair mentioned, and there are more and more and more possibilities because you have the tools, yeah? So basically, you need to be creative. Explore the already made. Hey, teachers, if you Google maker spaces or something, you are going to find a lot of projects that you can develop with your students for teaching different things that are already made. Take them. Why not? It's not like I'm stealing something that is copyrighted. I am having an idea, and these ideas are for you to introduce different topics with a different idea. Number two, create based on your situation. It's not really relevant if you are in Bogota, if you are in Peru, if you are in Mexico, if your school is very rich or if your school is very poor. You still have things that are familiar for your students, in which language is just the bridge to communicate and to create things, because all the process is there, so you can adapt it. Also, be proactive. Sometimes I have visited some schools, and when you mention this idea, coordinators and principals are like, hey, I like that idea. And the important part is that in schools or educational institutions, they always have the place and the time for making projects, and that's important. It's a very good opportunity to say, hey, I want to create a project, and maybe it works. So we need to see the projects and how it works together with the curriculum. And that's the final point. We can have a guide. For people that are in Colombia, we have the DBA, the Derechos Básicos de Aprendizaje. And you go and Google them and everything, and you have science, geography, not English, Spanish, math. But if you Google maker spaces like curriculum, what you are going to find is file not found. Yeah, there's nothing there because we don't have a curriculum yet. So we need to create a curriculum. Yes, but on the other hand, it's good and bad, pros and cons. Pros, I can create my own curriculum. Con, I have to create my own curriculum. So it's sometimes it's like, hey, teacher, you, the one that knows English, could you please teach science in English? Goodbye, it's your problem. How? I am an English teacher. Oh, use the book. So you follow the book, but we are not prepared for that. But if you know what to teach, you know how to teach. So what you can do is that you can make everything work together, put many concepts together, and use the science teacher, the math teacher to create something with you. And that's how a maker space or a project-based learning starts like being born. So this is it, but we are going to go back to the Mentimeter activity. So I want you to please go again to Mentimeter. So it's menti.com. And I want you to please use the code 144030. And please, right there, 3 keywords that you consider important for this topic. What did you learn? What are you going to have in your mind after this webinar? What words are now important? Again, creativity is the most important? Or nowadays you say like, oh no, now it's tools. No, now it's planning. So please go to mentimeter.com, menti.com, and now you are going to use the code 144030. And definitely that's it. You starting your participation. I put an image there and a GIF, and there is a robot now. There is a robot now. They're like dancing and moving and everything. So I'm going to come back here because, whoop. Okay, now it's thinking skills, collaborative. Oh, planning is getting bigger. Collaboration. Oh, clearly. Yay. Engage students, collaboration. Well, you can continue participating and everything. Creativity is still big, but now planning. So yeah, definitely maybe you had some concepts in mind, but some others are new. Or finally, this webinar and this topic is for you to reflect upon the concepts that I knew and the new concepts that I can put into practice. So you can say like, or you probably are thinking like, but I wanted to have like the curriculum ready. Yes and no, depending on the city, the country that you live, we can have alternative curricula. Yes, I know we can have alternative curricula, but on the other hand, we can create everything based on our needs, and that's the most important part. That you can create something, and that definitely it's up to you, well, to start creating something from scratch. But yeah, it's good. So I'm going to come back here. And guys, so for closing my presentation, we make every day. We're making. And I am going to steal from this book that it's the Maker Movement Manifesto by Mark Hatch. It's like the Bible from the Maker Movement. And I stole this sentence. In the spirit of making, I strongly suggest you take this, he said, book, I said, presentation, make changes to it and make it your own. That is the point of making. That you take something and because of the transformation or the improvement that you do, you make it your own. And well, thank you. That's my email. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, because that's the most important part. So yeah, that was it. So I hope that you had enjoyed this time. And well, Jair, up to you. No, Jair. Okay, so I'm going to read the chat now because as a good teacher, if I am presenting, I cannot read the chat because yeah, it becomes a mess. So okay, maybe. Ah, there are things. We also have the suggested curriculum, which suggests PBL and CLIL too. Oh yeah, sometimes you have curriculums in which that is suggested, and sometimes you have the tools. Many times you have the tools, and sometimes you have the books. And in the books, there is like a big help because you follow something. Is it adapted to your reality? Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know because it depends on the place that you're working. So yeah, I wanted to make this like with the same opportunities for everyone. But yeah, definitely there are many projects that you can develop with this. Okay, what about the scaffolding part for this strategy? Well, if you are talking about the scaffolding part in which you take into account first what you want to create, what you want to make, always it comes from the teacher and it goes from to the coordinator and it goes to the principal and everything, and they provide you with the tools. However, if there is no process like that, you need to take your own subject and adapt it to the real needs of students. So that's like the most important part. um okay, let me check. Teamwork and motivation, planning, context. Awesome presentation. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I learned. So if you have some question, if you have, okay. Oh, Diana is sharing criterios de evaluación. Good, good. Well, you can have something there. Okay, I'm going to read like from. Oh, you also hated math. Oh, good. Yeah, I know. It's complicated, but okay. So yeah, definitely that's it. Maybe if I check some other comments. Oh, what is the difference between English for specific purposes and CLIL? Oh, good. So when you have a specific purpose, it's, for example, imagine that you are working with, I don't know, I need to teach students that are learning or that are going to become tourist agents or doctors, or they're going to work in bakeries or something. So at that time, English, it becomes with a specific purpose because they have a clear reality. And you say, okay, but in the school, well, it depends. What is your approach? Because the specific purpose could be for passing the ICFES or the state exam and having good grades. So it depends. It depends on the it depends on people. So yeah, it's totally up to the needs. But I can say that CLIL, when you have CLIL, it's because CLIL is just like the tool too. It's very related to STEAM, but a specific purpose goes further. For example, I told you that I was working with an immersion program. That is English for specific purposes because I need to focus on that population because they are my students and they have that special need. And I use CLIL, of course, but the specific purpose is bigger than the CLIL. So yeah, I am using the approach that is CLIL, but English for specific purposes is the umbrella, is what covers what is there. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Jason, very
Now I
good.
am
So you
back.
have the DBA in English. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you very much for unmuting me.
It's because you talk too much. So I
Yeah, I
suggest
know.
to
Yeah,
mute.
everybody said that I was sleeping. No, I couldn't. I couldn't have. All right. So thank you very much, Juan Carlos. Of course, everyone here agrees with me. It was a great presentation. It was a really great idea to decenter us. Just not to think on the language per se, but think about like all the components that are part of that learning. And we should not only focus on the language, but on the learning process. And as you said, we can not only learn the language, but we can learn many other aspects, sciences, content with the language. And also, I just want to make a comment here. this presentation is connected with the previous one that was held by Katie, and this is totally connected to with the upcoming one that I'm not going to tell you what it is about, but it is totally connected what we're going to see next week. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you who the person is going to be in charge of that one either, but everything is already on the website, and all the e-card invitation and everything is already prepared for you to get to know more about how you can actually put into practice everything that Juan Carlos shared with us today. Juan Carlos, more answers for these comments that we have here?
Well, I was reading.
All right, no problem. So basically, this information, as I was saying, is not only connected with the previous webinar that was held by Katie, but these webinars have been like a process. We started out from scratch, just like showing the differences between like remote teaching and all these type of new modalities that we are working with these days. And now we are just like warring down all the information. So next week is going to be more related to what we have to do in the classes. And then after, we're going to see different perspectives. Then we're going to do a little bit of more modality, and then we're going to do a little bit of materials. And then after, we're going to work on more skills, and we're going to try to do a little bit of assessment and evaluation as well. So the idea is that every single webinar we're conducting is going to contribute to the co-construction of that knowledge that we do need to put into practice in our classes. JC, did you read any other question, any other comment from there?
Well, yeah, I was checking, but I don't see any more like questions in case
Questions,
that,
okay.
yeah, in case that you have more questions, well, you have my email, or, well, definitely with us a copy, we are working together. So yeah, it's like a new
Yes.
topic. And the idea is to explore, the idea is to go beyond what is there. But I think that the good part of this is that it's being born. So we can start doing something with this. And for me, that's the most important part. That everything is created and we are improving, but with this we can create something, and we can create something based on our needs, on our reality, on our context. And finally, we are going to stop repeating something and start creating something that fits for us.
All right, thank you. Well, unfortunately, we have already been too late. It's 6:06.
Oh, sorry.
As usual, the time always is a situation that we have to deal with. We could stay here for longer, learning more and co-constructing this type of knowledge that we do need. And of course, the idea is to continue doing so. So once again, I invite you to please visit the website, Asocopi's website. There you have a lot of information. Also, I want you to please answer the call for proposals. We are already receiving them. We're receiving the proposals for this upcoming annual Congress that once again, this is going to be the very first time that we're going to do it virtually. So we are receiving your proposals. Please do not hesitate, contact us. If you need anything, just visit the website. There you have all the information. Also, you have our emails. Anything you may need from us, please do let us know. And once again, thank you very much for making up the time, for taking the time of all your various activities. I have seen today's attendees that I saw you in other previous webinars today. Like, I guess we are taking advantage of these times for us to continue to learn, as Juan Carlos said. So we are like in this never-ending process the teachers take. The teachers have, our duty is to to continue to learn. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time, for being with us, for sharing your ideas with us. And of course, I will see you next Thursday. Please invite your friends, invite your colleagues, and just like let's make this association bigger, because this is made for us, right? So we don't make this association. It is like every single person who is coming to these webinars. So please share this information with your friends, with your colleagues, and I will see you next week. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Thank you, Juan Carlos, again for your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you all. Bye.
Hola, mi nombre es Catalina Jaramillo, soy docente de los grados 10º y 11 de la institución educativa Lusitania Paz de Colombia, localizada en el barrio La Aurora, en la ciudad de Medellín. Hoy quiero hablarles de la Asociación Colombiana de Profesores de Inglés, ASOCOPI, que congrega a todos los maestros de inglés de nuestro país. ASOCOPI fue fundada en 1965, es decir, que lleva más de 50 años apoyando a los maestros de inglés de diversos sectores educativos. Esta asociación es además una organización sin ánimo de lucro, cuya misión es apoyar el mejoramiento de la enseñanza del inglés en Colombia a través del apoyo a sus maestros.
Hola, mi nombre es Fabián Moisés Padilla de la Cerda y soy docente de inglés en los niveles de básica, secundaria y media de la Institución Educativa Distrital Técnica Bilingüe Jorge Nicolás Abello, localizada en el barrio Los Andes de la ciudad de Barranquilla. Además, en el año 2016 fui galardonado con el premio Compartir al Maestro por mi proyecto de bilingüismo. A la Asociación Colombiana de Profesores de Inglés, ASOCOPI, la conozco desde hace ya varios años, al igual que conozco los eventos que esta organiza y que tienen objetivos muy importantes, tales como el promover el trabajo en conjunto y consolidar redes de apoyo para los profesores de inglés. Así también promover el intercambio de ideas, información, recursos y experiencias a nivel nacional e internacional. También apoyar a los profesores con oportunidades de crecimiento profesional a nivel lingüístico, pedagógico e investigativo.
Me llamo Adriana Sánchez y trabajo en un colegio privado, el Colegio Nueva Granada de la localidad de Chapinero, en Bogotá. Enseño en todos los grados de escuela primaria. Conozco a ASOCOPI hace ya varios años. Ellos organizan algunos eventos durante el año, como talleres en algunas ciudades. También apoyan eventos de desarrollo profesional que organizan colegios y universidades. Tienen grupos de interés que organizan eventos a nivel local también. Sin embargo, el evento más grande, porque es más reconocido ASOCOPI, es por su conferencia anual. Es la conferencia de profesores de inglés más grande de Colombia. Se realiza cada año en una ciudad diferente. Allí, los profesores de todos los niveles presentan sus innovaciones pedagógicas, sus investigaciones. La asociación trae varios invitados internacionales y es un ambiente muy agradable de desarrollo profesional, de conectarse con colegas y aprender mucho.
Hola, mi nombre es Ángela Castro, soy docente en la Universidad del Cauca y he asistido a la conferencia de ASOCOPI desde hace varios años. La sede administrativa de la asociación está en Bogotá, pero los diferentes miembros de la junta directiva, que son presidente, vicepresidente, tesorero, secretario y vocal, son de diferentes partes de Colombia y apoyan la institución desde los diferentes niveles educativos. Los miembros de la junta directiva son voluntarios, al igual que estudiantes y profesores de pregrado que desde las regiones apoyan a la institución. ASOCOPI también recibe el apoyo de diferentes organizaciones como universidades públicas y privadas, el Consejo Británico, casas editoriales y la Embajada Norteamericana.
Me llamo David Fernando Roa, soy profe en Green Hill Bilingual School, una institución privada en Neiva, Huila. Enseño en los grados tercero y cuarto y quinto. Este año es especial para ASOCOPI porque es su congreso anual número 55 este año, denominado Building Communities in English central. Pero pues eso no es todo. Además, Asocopi quiere darle este año en su congreso más visibilidad a los profes de colegio, a los profes de educación básica y educación media. Por eso se está lanzando la convocatoria para que más profes tengan la oportunidad de ser plenaristas o ponentes principales en el congreso, para que presenten sus proyectos o innovaciones que están causando un impacto positivo en sus instituciones. De igual manera, el Congreso ofrece la posibilidad de que se preparen presentaciones más cortas, como coloquios en los que varios profes presentan sus innovaciones.
Si has realizado un proyecto de innovación que ha causado impacto en tu colegio, en tu aula o en tu comunidad, puedes postularte para una de las 3 modalidades de presentación. Presentación concurrente, plenaria. Accede a la página www.asocopi.org y busca la pestaña Convocatoria para profesores de colegio. Allí encontrarás toda la información sobre el proceso de aplicación. Es muy sencillo. Los profesores seleccionados tendrán apoyo para la preparación de su presentación y descuentos especiales. Este año queremos que las voces de los profesores de colegio sean más escuchadas que nunca.